Well, it's been a while since I brought you out to our little playground place. I'm taking time this weekend to get hay out, getting ready for the winter. I generally like to have about 10 bales ahead for my 3 cows. I've got 8 here, I'll bring a couple more, and I've actually got a couple from last year, so I'm going to have a couple bales in there for cushion. But last year when we had snow, where I had the bales stacked, really created a lot of drifts and difficulty getting in and out of the corral, so I'm going to change it a little bit this year. So last year, and I think maybe the year before, I double rowed my bales and I set them right through here, and then I can just feed off the end and feed them in the corral. Well, when the southwest wind blows, it created quite a drift around here and just filled in my gates to the corral. About December, January, we were actually pretty easy, pretty open winter, and then February hit and it just dumped snow. So I had snow drifts here that covered up my hydrant. I was about 3 feet deep. I couldn't get into my gates to feed the cows. And I decided then, this is way too close for these bales. I'm going to move them over 2 more rows. So when the bulk of the winter showed up in February, I had taken this bale feeder and moved it over here closer to this loafing shed so they could get in out of the wind and the cold. But what that did was it caused a kind of a jet stream whirlwind, and it became kind of a snowdrift. And I had a drift in here that was probably 4 feet deep. And all they could do was go from the feeder to the water. So it's kind of interesting observation to see what really deep snow caused here. And so I need to change a few things. I still have some sagebrush that's along the fence here, and that is an automatic snow fence. And I also had some over here, but I did remove all that, so that should help clean that out. But I do need to remove these few remnants of sagebrush and open this up, and then before winter comes in, I'll actually mow this all down so it can blow free. And in the long run, really what worked best was if I moved my round bale feeder out here, and it could drift around that, but they could still get into it to feed. And it ended up being that I took my bobcat and I could kind of keep an open lane here, and I pushed it all into this area just above the house, and I was from that corner post clear up to this brace, and it was probably 6-7 feet tall, just with snow, trying to keep this open, largely because of the drifts that these bales caused. All these blocks here that I didn't have split up and actually in the woodshed, that created another snow fence and a huge drift here, and this pile of timbers here did the same. So between the hay bales, this pile of wood, which is just fence posts and firewood, and this firewood blocked up here, I had just drifted this in pretty extreme. So my goal is, I think I'm going to move these bales here, line them up with this wood pile, and probably push this a little bit aside and put my 2 rows of bales here. So if I clean this up, I'll have a clean sweep here, and it'll be able to blow free on the other side and hopefully keep my corrals open to where I can get in and feed this winter. So it seems like I'm kind of empty on the back end of my trailer. My trailer is actually 28 feet. I could put another 3 bales on here and end up with 11, but these are over 1,500 pound bales, and I'm licensed for 26,000 pounds, and I'm at about 25.5 right now. So this, for weight, is kind of the max that I can put on this trailer. And I put a fair bit of weight on the pickup, make the pickup do it. I'm at 13 on the pickup and almost 12 on the trailer. I'm licensed at 14 on the trailer, so I wanted to protect it. So anyway, we're under that 26,000. So I'm going to grab my M. It's the only thing that'll pick these bales up, and try to get them stacked. Well, with my hay moved over just a bit to try to move my drifts when the winter winds blow, I also need to get this pile of blocks all split up for the winter, kind of clear out this so that I have a clear path for the wind as well. I use this wood here mostly for the shop, but occasionally I haul it to the house too. So that's also on my agenda before winter shows up. Well, that's a nice little pile of wood. Nice to have this pile of blocks split and out of the way. I have 3 pieces here. I should have brought a chainsaw out for. I need to cut them to a little smaller before I can split them up. But this is one more check off of my checklist before winter starts to come in. I've got some tin that I want to put on that loafing shed for the cows. Hope to make that happen before snow flies too. Well, we've got right at 3 ton here. I'd like to bring my cover down over it so I don't blow out on the way back. Don't want to buy somebody's windshield. The Wolf Mountain coal is actually mined north of here in the town called Decker, and this is their retail sales yard. If you were going to buy a semi-load, say 40 ton or so, you would go to the production plant at the mine and buy it there, but this is their retail for us small shoppers when you're just getting a few ton. Like I say, I have 3 on here, so I'm going to use about a ton of this, and then I'll remember a fella named Dan that used to help me a number of years ago. He's going to take the other 2 ton. So this is my trip to Sheridan, trying to get things done before winter comes. You know, right next door to the coal yard, Wolf Mountain, is this little station here, and it just reminded me of the stations when I was growing up. You get your fuel, you wash your own windows, which that didn't used to happen. But if you need a restroom, You go inside, get the key, because the restroom's out back. That took me back a few days. Now, there's really no easy way around this. This is the box that I store my coal in. I usually just end up shoveling it, but I oftentimes carry it in my pickup so I can get about a ton in there. With the trailer, I can't get it in there, so I'm going to try to use my Bobcat. And you would think I'd have a better way figured out by now, but I only have to do this about every other year. I'm going to spill a little bit, so I'm going to bring my Bobcat up a little closer, maybe catch some of that in the bucket. This is where you start to say there's got to be a better way. And I've often thought an auger would be the ticket, but I've never done it. Load number one. Well, that really wasn't too bad. It just took me 4 loads with that Bobcat, and it's much easier scooping out of the bucket of the Bobcat than it is out of the tailgate of my pickup. Is you got the fender wells and all that to clean around, and it's just kind of a pain. This was actually better than that. Auger probably would be the nicest, but this worked. So my box here is 3 foot by 4 foot by 3 foot is about here, so I'm a little over a cubic yard here maybe, and rough average is about a cubic yard is a ton. So we ought to be pretty good. I'll take the other 2 ton down to Dan, who stopped by and kind of helped me finish this up. Another checklist before winter comes. This was one: getting my hay hauled, getting my wood split up, and I always have more wood to split. And the other thing was getting my roof fixed. That really is a big check off my list. So, still have some tin to put on my calf shed. Hope to get that done too. Appreciate you coming along. Thanks for watching.